TV. We are live above the trading floor at the New York Stock Exchange, the epicenter of the global financial markets. And today we are hosting Pan American Silver Corporation, ticker symbol PAAS, in celebration of its transfer and acquisition of Yamana Gold Incorporated. This is the NYSE's latest international transfer, and to honor the occasion, Michael Steinman, Pan American Silver's president and CEO, will ring the opening bell. I am joined now by my colleague Pete Ash, who is not only co-hosting with me, but he is also the head archivist here at the New York Stock Exchange. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Pete?
Doing well. It's an exciting day. Always great to have a new company listing in any of the ways they come to the New York Stock Exchange.
Absolutely. And to give everyone a little background, Pan American Silver is a leading producer of precious metals in the U.S., operating silver and gold mines in several different countries, including Canada, Mexico, and Brazil, just to name a few. But while it has an expansive global reach, this company has also been operating in the U.S. for nearly 3 decades and has earned a reputation for sustainability performance and operational excellence. So some very important work, and we're thrilled to have them here at the New York Stock Exchange.
Definitely. And if you think about the exchange, you mentioned I'm the archivist, you get a little bit of a history slant. You know, the industrials, the mining companies really help build the roster of companies we have here today. And, you know, scrolling through the Pan American Silver site, a lot of the things you expect to see in the modern companies, ESG work, working with investors, making sure to get just not only their core business out there, but explain the full spectrum of what they're doing here and transferring to the New York Stock Exchange.
And you had mentioned some very important but also interesting work that they were doing as we were actually scrolling through their website earlier this morning.
Yes, I was reading, you know, family's big avocado eaters. They're working a lot to grow avocados. They're helping raise guinea pigs and really making sure, but also taking care of their workers. A lot of work to make sure they're providing the support to their workers, not just the things like healthcare, but also support throughout the whole process, and really bringing that whole story to the New York Stock Exchange. And that's one of the wonderful things we get to do here with NYSE TV, but also the entire platform. It's an opportunity to share that message with the world and really share that story out to the market. And as we head up to the opening bell, we're going to cover a lot of the things going on today, but I think one of the important things to mention is that every day we do have an opening bell, and we do get to celebrate that with one of our great listed companies.
And sometimes an entrepreneurial dream is realized every single day through an IPO, but also we have been marking historic landmarks with the number of transfers that have come here to the New York Stock Exchange. And, you know, the NYSE has really led the industry in listing transfers. In 2022, we actually recorded 34 transfers in 2022 as of December 2022. But I mean, all of these transfers have garnered over $100 billion in market cap.
Yeah, and 18 of that has been just this year alone. So if you do simple math in your head, we're on pace to continue that 2022 record numbers. And really, one of the things that we've done here in New York Stock Exchange is provide a platform for companies that come to market different ways. And if you look at historically, actually, transferring was the way for companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Typically, a company would IPO in a regional or smaller exchange, and then when they were big enough, they would come to New York Stock Exchange. And now that's changed greatly over time, but it still is the idea that we are, you know, the nickname of the New York Stock Exchange, the big board. We are the big leagues for listed companies, and a place where companies strive to join the 2,400 listed companies that are here listed today.
And think about not only what we're doing for the economy, but also just job creation, right? And speaking of job creation and the American economy, House Speaker and California Representative Kevin McCarthy was just here yesterday to talk about the impact of the debt ceiling and how it could have that impact, well, on the future of businesses and the American people. And this is all amid a current showdown that we're seeing with President Biden over raising the debt ceiling, and Congress has until summer to reach an agreement. So let's take a look at some of that video.
This is actually my 100th day since being elected Speaker. It is an honor to be able to have this position. I chose to be here because in so many ways, this place represents the best of the American economy. Fast-paced, future-focused, and dynamic. For more than 2 centuries, this market has enabled dreams, changed lives for entrepreneurs and investors. It has helped turn ideas into reality, generation after generation after generation. And it creates the incentive for solving challenges. It has an impact that is felt by every person in every community in every corner of this country. And every other country in the world wishes it had it too.
And that was a recap of Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy's visit to the New York Stock Exchange. yesterday. He's the most recent of the last 5 Speaker of the Houses to make a trip down to the corner wall in Broad to spread his message, share his thoughts, and also connect with our listed companies and the traders on the floor behind us. While he was down here, he also got a chance to sit down with NYSE Institute President John Tuttle for a broadcast Q&A session that we covered here on NYSE TV yesterday, but for the audience, we have a shorter version we'd like you all to share with, and we'll head down to the trading floor.
Do you feel the Fed is on the right track right now?
Well, first, let me say the Fed is an independent entity.
Correct.
I quoted Milton Friedman, my favorite economist. He said inflation only starts when government spends too much. He also said the only way to curb inflation is the interest rates have to be higher than the inflation rate. So as an independent entity, had they acted earlier and gone to 3%, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. But if we gone for a decade of cheap money, we also realize what we were doing. But if government continues to spend, they create the inflation to make Fed to have to act. My role as a policymaker, first and foremost, cut back the created inflation to begin with. That's the place that I serve. Curve back the wasteful spending. Think for a moment, you added $6 trillion. The Congressional Budget Office is the one who came out and said we'll pay $10.5 trillion just in interest. 83 years, we haven't paid that much. We're going to pay that in a 10-year window. If you look at a 50-year average of what we normally spend per GDP, it's around 21%, but we've been spending over 23 on our way to 25. If you look at revenues, a lot of people say, well, you should raise taxes. On average, we normally bring in about 17% of GDP in revenues. You know what we're bringing in today? 20. Only 200 times in modern history have you brought in 20. So it's not a revenue problem. We're bringing more money in a percentage than any time before, but we're spending and there's no curve on that. So the Fed's their own entity, they get to make their own decisions, but they're having to make decisions based upon what we did to create inflation. So I have a responsibility to curve that so the Fed wouldn't have to act. The one thing I would say about the Fed, focus on the things of why they were created, not things that they weren't.
And welcome back. We are on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange at an active trading floor. There might be a point in time where you'll see traders zipping past us as we get ready to open up the U.S. equity markets.
Definitely, and so far we'll kind of explain what's going on. Obviously, the traders, you can see some of them behind us preparing to open the market.
Yep.
And that's really, what makes the New York Stock Exchange different. And we're going to talk to a couple of the 2 different unique kind of traders we have here on the floor after the opening bell.
And one of them is a designated market maker. And this is what makes the New York Stock Exchange unlike any other institution in the world, for that matter, because this is a person who stands by the stocks that we have here for the days, weeks, months, years ahead. We have had some of the companies listed with us for hundreds of years. In fact, we just celebrated one of our longest listed companies just the other day. But it's again, a very exciting time here on the trading floor as we get ready to open up the markets. You'll start to hear the crowd cheer in just a few moments.
Definitely, and that's really what's going on. I think one of the things people don't realize is all the kind of traditions and daily events we have here. Right now, the Pan American Silver executive team, they were hosted this morning by NYSE President Lynn Martin. They've made their way onto the trading floor.
Yep.
They're enjoying a moment of celebration, of signing our distinguished guest book,
Yep.
preparing to open the market, and then they will march up that flight of stairs to the Bell podium, ring that opening bell, broadcast out to millions of people, including you all out there today, and really spreading the message that Pan American Silver here on the New York Stock Exchange, ready to start trading, and really begins to open the market for not just here at the New York Stock Exchange, but across the global market.
And this is one of the most watched news events to happen in the world. Millions of people tune in to see who's ringing that opening bell every single day here at the New York Stock Exchange. And again, millions of people are going to be watching Pan American Silver ring that opening bell. Again, it's going to be like a movie set. Everybody is tuning in. All eyes are on this company as we celebrate their acquisition, as we celebrate the transfer here at the New York Stock Exchange. Again, we are making record numbers with over $100 billion in capital that we have raised since 2020 just in transfers alone. So it's a remarkable time.
And then we get to do my favorite bell. We do have lots of different bells, opening bells, closing bells,
Yes.
occasionally for different reasons, midday stop bells. But then there's going to be the first trade bell. And that bell is right on the floor, right next to their designated market maker. And that is where, after the markets open, after they price this transfer, they will ring that first trade bell, and that will signify not only to the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange, but the entire global markets that Pan American Silver is now here trading on the New York Stock Exchange.
And actually, let's take a live look at what that looks like. That opening, the opening bell, but also the first trade bell. Let's go over and walk over there to give you a glimpse at what we're looking at here and to get eyes here on the New York Stock Exchange floor. It's a hugely significant process because the floor is not open to the public. It is only open to our listed companies and guests of the New York Stock Exchange as well as our listed companies. So here's a live look right now of the first trade bell. Again, it's hugely significant to ring the opening bell. We're going to start to hear the crowd go wild here about 9:29 and 30 seconds. And then again, this first trade bell only happens one time. So as soon as it goes off, again, it's going to be off to the races.
Exactly, and it's identical to the opening bell, so a very similar sound. They'll hit with a mallet instead of the electric opening bell. And what I love about that is, like you said, it recognizes this new listing, it recognizes this new moment, and it also signifies solo, because that ringing bell, the opening bell, that's the opening of all 2,400 listed companies, or rather, because our market model, the permission to open all 2,400 listed companies. Where that first trade bell is only about Pan American Silver. It's got on the side of it the PAAS sticker, so they know exactly where to hit that bell.
And let's sort of give everyone a little overview as the team from Pan American Silver is getting situated on the bell podium, getting ready to ring that opening bell. But after they made their way down to the trading floor, I like to say that they made their way through a technology maze, so to speak, because we do combine the human capital aspect as well as first-in-class technology here on the floor. But after they did that, they went to the prestigious Distinguished Guest Book. They signed their names along with the dozens of world leaders, entrepreneurs, celebrities even, right in that book. I mean, you've been here for a while. You're the archivist. I'm sure you've seen extremely exciting things here on the floor.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, and that's the cool thing. Everyone, yesterday, Speaker McCarthy, last week, and we'll talk more about that, we had the whole cast of the Marvelous Miss Maisel down here celebrating their final season. We've had world leaders. John Tuttle, who you heard from earlier talking to Speaker McCarthy, has hosted nearly 200 sitting heads of state for those bell ringing ceremonies. And also on the floor today, I happened to notice while you were talking, we have people from representatives from General Electric. And talk about the new and the old. General Electric going through this amazing innovation transfer right now, splitting into 3 publicly traded companies from that giant company that was built. And they listed here in 1892. So we have an 1892 company celebrating the listing of a 2023 company.
Amazing. I absolutely love that. And, we were just talking about how we celebrated, even Con Edison's 200-year anniversary here just a couple weeks ago. And they've been listed with us for 200 years. I mean, of course, their designated market maker might have switched out during that time because that is a very long time. But it just speaks to the longevity and the relationships that we built here at the New York Stock Exchange. If you take a look at the bell podium, we'll see the executive team taking pictures as we prepare to open up the U.S. equity markets. And then after that, they're going to get a some selfies and a few more pictures before they head down what I like to call the secret staircase behind the Bell podium. And then they're going to etch their name on the wall, sort of like in a graffiti-like manner. Again, next to the long list of entrepreneurs, celebrities, thought leaders on that wall of the New York Stock Exchange. And you actually told me a couple weeks ago that they switch out that wall. How frequently?
Every couple of weeks, because we have 14 people on the Bell podium every day.
Yeah.
And in the morning and in the evening, so it's 28 a day. So there's only so much room. So they move the walls and they literally take those boards and move them in other parts of the building to really spread the message of that opening bell ceremony.
Yeah.
And so we're merely seconds away. In a couple seconds, they're gonna start cheering. We'll have to stop talking to let the cheers take over, and you will see the Pan American opening bell executive team as well as Lynn Martin standing next to that CEO.
Yep. So let's listen in.
All right, so now the market is open. You're going to hear the opening of the securities all around us. We are now joined by Judy Shaw, head of client media, as well as the host of NYSE Floor Talk.
Peter, Trinity, be on your show.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on NYSE TV.
Oh, of course. And of course, we're in the middle of everything because, again, it is an active trading
out of the
floor. But why don't you tell us what you're working on? I know that you're preparing for a Floor Talk interview this morning with the company who's transferred here.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm going to be talking to the CEO of Silver this morning. He's joining me on NYSE Floor Talk shortly when we talk to the opening bell this morning. And we're going to be talking about transfer, also what makes them one of the world's leading silver producers. So very exciting stuff. So you'll have to stay tuned for that NYSE Floor Talk interview.
Yeah, and we have the tables turned on. Usually you're the host. Now you're asking questions.
Yes.
We actually teased the Miss Maisel bell ringing from last Friday.
Yes.
We're gonna end the show with a little more of that. But can you talk about that experience heading down, not just here on the floor of New York Stock Exchange, but you got to walk the red carpet.
Right. I certainly did, and that was a very unique experience. I've never done that before. So we took Floor Talk to the red carpet, spoke to a lot of the cast members there who were going to be coming on Friday to ring the bell. So this past Friday, they actually rang the opening bell here, but got a little, preview and got to talk with them, and we put together a great reel of our Floor Talk interview. So definitely check that out on our social channels. And then they rang the opening bell last Friday, and that was an amazing experience, able to celebrate the 5th and final season of the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big fan.
I know, me too.
I was really excited to talk with the creators and the cast members there, but was definitely feeling a little sad that it's over. But they loved being here. They were so excited to ring that bell.
And quickly, can you tell our viewers where they could catch your Floor Talk?
Absolutely. So visit our social channels. Our Floor Talk interviews are posted across Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So definitely check it out, and you will see all of the interviews that we've done. We've talked to some really amazing CEOs, founders of startups, and lots of listed companies. So definitely check it out.
Well, we'll let you go. We know you have an interview to prepare for, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
We're going to take a live look now on the floor as the U.S. equity markets are now open, and we'll be right back with more interviews. I'm joined now with Pete Giacchi. He's the head DMM for Citadel Securities trading on the New York Stock Exchange. Pete, good morning.
Good morning, Trinity. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So U.S. equity markets are now open. Can you tell us what we're seeing?
Yeah, sure. The market right now, the S&P futures are up. Dow futures are slightly down, but with the S&P being the much broader index, there seems to be some good appetite in the market early today.
Great. And what can we look for, do you think, for later today?
Yeah, I think the market is clearly digesting the first round of earnings that are coming out in the financial sector and absorbing that, today and seeing how that'll go. And obviously during the course of the week, the key driver for this market is going to be earnings as the week progresses.
Okay, perfect. And today we are celebrating the transfer of Pan American Silver here at the exchange. You are the designated market maker. Can you tell me what the process of a transfer entails?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're super excited to be partnering with Pan American Silver on their decision to not only pick the New York Stock Exchange, but to pick Citadel Securities as their DMM. When a company transfers over, the first thing we want to make sure is that it's a seamless transition from the previous marketplace to the New York Stock Exchange, not only ensuring an effective transaction for the company, but making sure that investors have a seamless way of trading the stock. That's a lot of the process that we're going to go through this morning as we decide the price to open the stock and when to open the stock.
And can you just give people an overview exactly what a designated market maker does here on the floor and your role?
Sure. So a designated market maker is unique to the New York Stock Exchange, and what that entails is it's a market maker who has an obligation to be in the market both sides, not only as a buyer and a seller, at all times in the marketplace. Also, the designated market maker provides color and trading analytics to the listed companies. We're there to help the listed companies understand what's happening in the equity markets that's potentially driving the price of their equity.
An invaluable resource here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
A unique one and a fantastic one for listed companies.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Pete. We're going to toss it back over to my colleague, Pete Ash, who is going to interview another person.
Joined by Chief Global Strategist from Freedom Capital. It's a new job for you, so congratulations, Jay.
Thank you. It's great to pivot to Freedom Capital and the team here at Prime Executions. It's a great experience, and I'm still back on the floor, which is even better. Greatest place in the world.
Yeah, and Jay Woods has been on the floor since, is this 30 years yet? Or
You really want to age me like that?
Sorry.
1992, so it'll be 31 years this summer.
Fantastic. So 31 years, you've seen a lot. We're in the midst of earnings season right now.
Yeah.
What are some of the companies you're looking at and sectors that you're watching?
Yeah, 20% of the S&P 500 reports this week, so it's busy. As you can see behind us, there's a lot of action going on. While you guys were focused on the bell, the traders were running around going into various stocks like Goldman Sachs, which unfortunately they missed. It's trading down about 2% in the pre-market, and Johnson & Johnson. They were trading up, so two great Dow stocks, two great New York Stock Exchange stocks, very active behind us. So those are the two we're watching. And then the financials are reporting this week. Bank of America reported today they beat, and BNY, a stock you know the history of. I don't know if you want to drop some knowledge on the viewers, but BNY, the first stock ever traded here at the New York Stock Exchange, they reported as well. So those are the stocks we're watching this morning.
Yeah, so BNY first listed, Alexander Hamilton's Bank, 1792, listed here, year we were founded. And also, while Trini was talking to Pete Giacchi, I actually heard the newest company here on the New York Stock Exchange started trading, heard that first trade about Pan American Silver, a transfer over. And, as a broker overseeing brokers on the trading floor, how does a company transferring to the New York Stock Exchange change how you're able to interact with that security?
Well, this is right in my wheelhouse. As a market maker for 28 years, we always tell our companies we're here for them. And Pan American coming to the New York Stock Exchange, they get an extra layer of service. One, they get price discovery with a human being involved at point of sale. So the DMM that they choose will be in charge of not only trading and pricing every open, every close with that human touch, but then reporting back to the company. Companies want to know what happened to my stock today. And the DMMs that work here behind us, their job is to keep them informed. And then the broker community, whether it's someone from Prime, Meridian, they are coming in and interacting with that broker and getting information at point of sale. So the DMM has that responsibility to, one, be there for the listed company, to add another layer of market making, and then report back to them and tell them what's going on. So it's exciting when a company comes here. They got to ring a bell behind us. They got to ring the opening bell, and their team is here to watch the excitement. So we're always excited when someone transfers to New York.
So we're at 8 minutes into the trading day. We're pretty flat so far, looking over the shoulder. What are you looking at for the rest of the day and the week as these more and more earnings roll in?
Yeah, well, as a technician, I watch specific levels. The S&P 500 got back to 4,200. It's been 4,100 to 4,200 4 times since September. Every time it gets there, it kind of pauses, it hits a resistance level and sells off. So the traders are focused on that 4,200 number, 4,195 to be exact. That would be a new yearly high. That would be a positive thing. And then earnings season just started. I said 20% this week. It's like 33% next week of the S&P 500 reports. So it's a stock-to-stock issue. Data points economically, they came out last week in the CPI and the PPI. We got through that okay. A few Fed speakers are speaking the rest of the week. So we'll keep an eye on what the Fed has to say. And, the earnings that continue to come out. And so far it's been mixed, but we're holding steady. We're above that 4,100 level. Let's see if we can get above 42.
Sounds good. We're going to let you go take care of all that research you have to do with all those companies coming to earning. Thanks so much for joining us, Jay.
You got it. Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's been an eventful day.
It's been, a lot going on, a lot of noise. The first trade bell we were talking about rang while you were talking to Peter.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, as you can see behind us, again, these are all the visitors, all the people who are here with Pan American Silver celebrating the acquisition and transfer here to the New York Stock Exchange. Just to give you a little sneak peek of what goes on an active trading floor at the New York Stock Exchange. But I think it's about that time that we wrap it up.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up. Start working on tomorrow's webcast, as well as we wanted to leave all of you with that floor talk that we previewed earlier with Judy.
Yep.
Here is the cast of Mrs. Maisel at the New York Stock Exchange just last week.
I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Amy Sherman Palladino and Dan Palladino, creator, writers, and producers of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. We also have Rachel Brosnahan. She is Midge Maisel, Alex Bornstein, Susie Meyerson, and Tony Shalhoub. He is Abe Weissman. Wonderful to have you all here, ringing the bell today to celebrate the final season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I'm very sad, I'm not going to lie. You guys are all fabulous. Love the show. So, Amy, I know you were very excited to ring the bell today to celebrate this. Why did it make sense for you to be here to kind of kick off the final season, ringing the opening bell?
I don't know, but it's the greatest thing ever. We're doing all these things this week with the show coming out, and when they said ring the bell, we're like, what? That's amazing. So we're a very New York show. New York is a character basically in the show. We have been the scourge of New York parking spaces for 6 years. So maybe hopefully that is why it's appropriate that we are here touching all of your buttons.
Okay. Now, talk to me about the inspiration behind the show. Dan, can you talk to that?
Yeah, this came from Amy's mind. It was based on her father, who was a working stand-up comic named Don Sherman. A great one. And back in the 50s and 60s, when he and his wife Mabon lived in New York before Amy was born, he played the Catskills, he played all the Greenwich Village basket houses, et cetera, and a lot of the clubs up and down Manhattan. So I knew him well because he was my father-in-law. So Amy was always fascinated with his world and that background, and just sort of came up with this idea to turn her 6'2" Jewish Bronx-born father into the lovely, not 6'2" Rachel Brosnahan.
All her hair.
Yes, and he did not. So that was it. And it came really naturally when she first mentioned the idea to me. I knew it was like an instant winner because it was just sort of like a world that we both felt we had known just through his stories. He was passed by the time she came up with the idea. So this was really an ode to him as well, and that whole era.
Okay, so Rachel, Midge, we know that, Midge, she followed her dream. She followed her path. Now, that was definitely not a path, back in that time that women followed. I mean, women weren't expected to be ambitious. What was it like for you to play that character?
It's felt pretty radical. One of the things that I loved about this character from the very first time I read the script was that Midge isn't one of those women who came out of the womb wanting to change things and break down barriers, but because her entire life fell apart in front of her eyes and her idea of what her dream was evaporated, she had to get creative. She had to find a new way forward, and she's born with that kind of grit. And it was pretty inspiring and felt more realistic in some ways, and more like some of the women that I know in my own life, whose journeys have been vast and non-linear, and who are dynamic and bold and interesting. And so it's been pretty incredible to play Midge and watch her grow over 5 seasons.
All right, and Tony, you played her father, Abe Weissman. Definitely, that was challenging for you. It seems like handling this daughter who was going against all what you had taught her.
Right. Abe, when we first find him, is just living a kind of a conventional, stable existence. But because of all of the changes that go on in Midge's life, and because of her courage and her resourcefulness, he's kind of inspired to make changes in his own existence. And by the time the series concludes, he's kind of become a completely different guy.
Now, how did this stack up to other roles that you've played? Because you are an amazing character throughout, screen and film. I mean, you've been on the stage.
This job has been just a dream for 5-6 years now. It's really the company that I've gotten to work with, the writers, the crew, these maniacs. It's just been. It's been a dream come true. It's a high point, I would say.
Who would you say is the craziest person on the stage? Was it Alex?
I wouldn't mention any names, but no, I would never say anything out loud.
Now, Alex, the relationship that Midge and Susie have, you've described it as a romance. Now,
it is a romance.
Tell me what that means, and do you have a romance with Rachel right now?
Absolutely. No, Alex and Rachel fell in love. Midge and Susie fell in love. We're not so different from, a trader and a client with the money. It's very appropriate that we're here, actually, because we have to know when to sell. We have to know when to buy. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away. You're not going to know. Okay. No, but it's true. It's that we can't survive without each other. You can make all kinds of plans, but I could book anybody at a certain place, but if it's not Midge, it's not going to do well. She's brilliant, and I'm going to miss Rachel, and I'm going to miss Midge, and I'm going to miss these guys.
Yes.
And this is depressing.
Alex, I'm going to say it looks like you're getting teary-eyed. So actually, if I can hear from all of you, what are you going to miss most about the show?
The people.
The people.
Yeah. I mean, as we've all been saying, we've been
the laughs,
Yeah.
The constant day after day, week after week of laughter.
I feel like the free stuff and the snacks.
Yeah.
And the paycheck. Did we mention the paycheck?
Being invited to these kind of experiences, that is part of it. It's been like magical. It's been a fairy tale.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
All right, and Dan and Amy, finally from you, why was now the right time to end the show? I mean, I'm very disappointed, so I want to know why.
Well, you didn't tell us. We would have kept it going if we had known we were going to. You just never reached out. I mean, the trick in our business is sort of trying not to overstay your welcome without cutting a show off in its prime. So it's really just a guessing game. I know that Amy and I are going to keep coming up with ideas for the show and for these people, and we're going to have to go, we can't do anything about it. But, I think it's always a matter of if you can leave people wanting a little more, that's the ideal.
Definitely, you're leaving a lot of people wanting a little more. So wonderful to have you all here.
Thank you.
Congratulations on an amazing show. I truly enjoyed it. And thanks for joining me on Floor Talk.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.